The Strogg, one of the great scourges of the galaxy and among Earth's fiercest enemies. Despite the path of terror and destruction they have carved across the stars, not a great deal is known of their culture, their mandate or their origins. All most people know or care is that they ravage planets, mutilating sentient beings, thinking of them as merely raw organic material, and adding them to their own mindless horde. It may be, though, that the Strogg themselves are merely slaves to a greater power, an entity of such all-consuming reach that the boundaries of space and time cannot even afford any protection.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my rack.
Hidden within the demented folds of warped reality, deep in a cavernous pit surrounded by a putrid young, lies the black goat, Shub-Niggurath. Her twisted form maddening to look upon, yet her will impossible to resist. From here she reaches out across space and time, testing the strength of any life she finds, judging it worthy enough to come under her subjugation, or merely worthy of annihilation. Although now able to send her abominable offspring almost anywhere in existence using arcane teleportation devices, her reach was not always so all-encompassing. For an eternity she resided in her otherworldly cathedral, unable to reach beyond the sheer rock, unknowing of what resided beyond, or if there was anything else at all. But over this time she birthed many thousands of generations of offspring, each a variant on her own template, and each bestowing her with knowledge about the nature of existence. At last, over the eons of experimentation, she came to know of nearly all forms of life that could possibly exist, and the extent of their capabilities. She decided to know more though, to experience those beings firsthand, and to test if they had reached the potential she had predicted. Reflecting on the vast knowledge she had gained, the terrible mass of writhing flesh discovered a way to escape her prison. By crafting 4 elemental runes, she would be able to collapse the boundaries of reality and send her young forth into other realms. Knowing which forms of life had achieved what advancements, she conquered and assimilated the ability to transport her young virtually anywhere, and with that her victory over all of reality was all but assured. However, there was still a point of concern for her. The runes she had used to escape her binds left a gateway to her own realm, one that she could not afford to have remain open now she had teleporters. To this end, she commanded her young to take the runes and scatter them across her conquered dimensions, deep within the most guarded recesses, so that they may never be reunited, and the gateway to her cathedral opened again. The conquest of existence was proceeding, but not exactly to Shub-Niggurath's liking. Far too many of her own offspring were perishing, and with each death she felt a deep pain. If her campaign was to continue, she required an army, those who could be sacrificed without end. Knowing of all species though, she felt this was an impossible task. That was until she encountered the Strogg. In all her experiments she had only learnt of organic advantages. The Strogg were a fearsome, combative species who incorporated technology into their biology, enhancing their natural abilities. Intrigued by the culture, she observed them rather than immediately invading, learning that they had existed in an almost constant state of war, with groups loyal to different cybernetically enhanced warlords vying for control over the planet's capital, one of a few locations not destroyed or irradiated by millennia of fighting. They were in a way primitive, but with the correct guidance and leadership, they could be morphed into an unstoppable force. In time, Shub-Niggurath sent one of her most powerful children, a colossal titan of a being, along with the required legions of her dark young to capture and subdue the Strogg. To her surprise, they were quickly willing to serve the All-Mother, the thought of a war across the stars irresistible to the battle-hardened species. Falling into rank under the Titan, the Strogg Armada was led to take a world of the All-Mother's choosing. Upon landing though, the Strogg were disorganized, chaotic, and were readily slaughtered. The years of infighting had left her vicious, but little more than a feral horde. Enraged by the failure of her new army, Shub-Niggurath decided to purge the free will of the Strogg, and to have her Titan and his forces lobotomize every single Strogg, taking direct control of their actions as a single hive mind. Using their cybernetic capabilities, the remaining Strogg were commanded to use whatever means necessary to rebuild their forces, to take the dead and reanimate their corpses so that they may continue fighting. It seemed though that the instructions were taken too much to heart, and once the Strogg began to cut through their enemies, it was not just their own dead they reanimated, but any dead or dying. Soon abominations of metal and flesh marched across the fields of battle. It no longer mattered if waves of Strogg fell, because as long as there was flesh, there would be a limitless supply of cannon fodder. The Allmother's decision had finally paid off, and now she had her army. Those who could die without consequence before her unharmed children took control of worlds and entire dimensions. But then something happened she did not expect. One of the realms she had tested showed strong resistance, and a single soldier would carve through Strogg and her children alike, bringing together the runes she had diligently hidden before confronting the Black Goat herself and ending her schemes in the harshest of manners. Immediately after the death of Shub-Niggurath, her children were thrown into turmoil, including the great titan of Stroggos. Some would recover from their loss, but others would meet fates they could never imagine. In the time the Titan was disoriented by the loss of the Allmother, the Strogg fell into chaos, without meaning or purpose, and desperately needed guidance. Without instructions, they fell back on their standing mandate, and sought any way to survive. To them the Titan had fallen, and his parts must be put to good use, so they took the colossal creature and butchered him alive, installing his huge organs throughout their society to conduct vital tasks such as transporting Stroyent, the lifeblood of the Strogg, through his heart, and installing his brain, still connecting all Strogg as the nexus of their hive mind. Still, they were without leadership or instructions, so they fell back into their old ways to an extent, with warlords fighting amongst themselves. Only this time, when one emerged victorious, the others capitulated before their might, declaring them Macron, leader of the Strogg. No matter which warlord obtained the title, the decision was the same: to continue the task set by their great Allmother and burn a path across the sky, adding to their ranks with the lives they had taken as they went. They never forgot the death of Shub-Niggurath, and one day they would find the ones responsible for her death, and on that day they would take great pleasure in harvesting the flesh of those who had killed their mighty god.